Dear students, this is 10th video in which we will discuss about the distribution of resultant intensity. In previous video, we have already derived the formula of resultant intensity, and in this video, we will learn how we can distribute the resultant intensity in the form of maximum and minima. And first, we will learn about the principal maxima. Now, the distribution of this resultant intensity I, distribution of resultant intensity, and first distribution is principal maxima, principal maxima, principal maxima. If we want this intensity principal maxima, it means denominator term should be minima. If you want I maxima, then alpha should be minima. It means for intensity principal maxima, alpha should be minimum, and value of alpha, minimum value of alpha means 0, and we know that if alpha is 0, then sin alpha becomes 0 and intensity becomes sin alpha upon alpha. It should be 1 by applying L'Hospital rule. L'Hospital rule, as we know that limit of principal maxima is alpha tends to 0. It means if sin alpha upon alpha is 1, then this term becomes 1, and intensity principal maxima becomes A naught square. We can also denote it by I naught. This is the intensity of principal maxima, and condition of it should be alpha equal to 0. This is the condition of principal maxima, and we know that alpha is equal to pi e sin theta upon lambda. It means pi e sin theta upon lambda is equal to 0. Pi and e should not equal to 0. It means sin theta equal to 0. In this condition, sin theta is equal to 0, and sin theta equal to 0 means theta equal to 0. Condition of principal maxima is theta equal to 0. It means if we see the diagram, ray diagram, that is the condition of theta equal to 0, it means ray that is incident, it pass through the slit without any deviation, and it represents the position of principal maxima. After the principal maxima, second is principal minima, principal minima, and again we know that I is A naught square sin alpha upon alpha whole square. If we want minimum intensity, it means sin alpha should be minimum. This sin alpha should be minimum, and if sin alpha is minimum, it means it should be equal to 0. But as alpha equal to 0, if sin alpha is 0, then alpha becomes equal to 0. But alpha equal to 0 becomes the condition of principal maxima. We have already see it. It means sin alpha should be equal to 0 for principal minima, but in such a way that alpha is not equal to 0. And if sin alpha equal to 0, we can write sin alpha equal to 0 equal to sin plus minus n pi, sine plus minus n pi, and in this condition alpha becomes equal to plus minus n pi, and where n may be 1, 2, 3, and alpha, as we know, alpha is equal to pi e sin theta upon lambda equal to plus minus n pi. Pi is cancel out and it becomes e sin theta equal to plus minus n lambda. This is the condition of principal minima, e sin theta equal to plus minus n lambda. After the principal minima, next is secondary maxima, and we know that as I is variable, I is a naught square sin alpha upon alpha whole square. It means this intensity is variable with respect to alpha, and if this intensity is variable with respect to alpha, then we can determine the positions of secondary maxima by di upon d alpha. If we put di upon d alpha is equal to 0, it means d upon d alpha I is a naught square sin alpha upon alpha whole square equal to 0. A naught square, here a naught square is constant, and d upon d alpha sin alpha upon alpha whole square, that whole square equal to 0, and if we differentiate it, it becomes a naught square twice sin alpha upon alpha, differentiation of, we are doing differentiation of this term, twice sin alpha upon alpha into alpha cos alpha minus alpha cos alpha sin alpha, differentiation of alpha 1 upon square of denominator alpha square, that should be equal to 0. This term as it is, differentiation of this term as it is, differentiation of sin alpha minus sin alpha as it is, differentiation of alpha 1 upon square of denominator. And if this whole term is equal to 0, it means this term should equal to 0, alpha cos alpha minus sin alpha, it should be equal to 0, or we can say alpha cos alpha equal to sin alpha, alpha equal to sin alpha upon cos alpha, or we can say tan alpha. It means if we write, suppose these are y equal to alpha equal to tan alpha, y equal to alpha and y equal to tan alpha, these are the two equations, and the points intersection point of these two curves represents the location of secondary maximas. And if we draw y equal to alpha, it should be a straight line passing through the origin. This is origin O, this equation is y is equal to alpha, and y equal to alpha represents this angle should be 45 degree, as if we compare y equal to mx plus c, c 0 represents it pass through the origin, and in y equal to alpha m equal to 1, it means this line, this angle should be 45 degree. This is the, this line represents the y equal to alpha, and now y equal to tan alpha, and we know that this is the representation of y equal to tan alpha. These are the y equal to tan alpha, and these are the, this is first intersection point at the origin. Y equal to alpha and y equal to tan alpha both are intersected at this point. It means this point represents the principal maxima. It represents the principal maxima. This line represents intensity, and this axis represents the alpha, and this curve, this location represents the position of principal maxima, and this is the position of next intersection, and now it represents the first order secondary maxima. After that, this intersection represents second order secondary maxima, third order, secondary maxima, n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3. These are the, from this place, these all are secondary maximas. These are secondary maxima, first order, second order, this is first order, this is second order, and this is third order, and so on. Similarly, in left side, this is first order secondary maxima, second order, third order. In left side, n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3. These are again secondary maximas, and it is also known as I alpha curve, in which with respect to alpha, this curve represents the intensity variation with respect to alpha. The value of alpha is pi here, this is minus pi, 2 pi, minus 2 pi in left side, 3 pi, minus 3 pi. These are the values of alpha on x axis. And similarly, by the help of the ray diagrams, we can also determine the fringe width. Fringe which are produced due to the diffraction pattern, we can also determine the fringe width. We know that one condition is E sin theta equal to n lambda, and these lines represents the amplitude of principal maximas. This is first order principal maxima, second order amplitude of second order principal maxima, amplitude of third order principal maxima, and this is amplitude of principal maxima. The amplitude of principal maxima, this line represents the amplitude of principal maxima, and this is amplitude of first order secondary maxima, this line amplitude of second order maxima, amplitude of third order secondary maxima, and similarly in left side this line is first order secondary maxima, amplitude of first order, this is amplitude of second order secondary maxima, third order secondary maxima, and E sin theta equal to n lambda. If we will discuss about the first order, then n becomes 1. It means E sin theta equal to lambda, and value of sin theta becomes lambda upon E. And we know that suppose this is the diffracted wave, these are waves by slit suppose it is diffracted by angle theta, and on screen if we take it x, if we take it capital D, then from this diagram, or we can say point A M N, if we see triangle A M N, this is N, A M N, sin theta becomes x upon capital D, and from this equation represents sin theta is lambda upon E, and this equation represents sin theta is x upon D. It means x upon D is equal to lambda upon E, and we can see that from that place, from this equation, x is lambda capital D upon small e, and if this screen is at focal point, this screen is at focal plane of convex lens, then capital D becomes equal to focal length of the lens, and it becomes lambda f upon small e. And the fringe width, suppose this is diffracted way and another way at theta angle, it becomes m dash, and fringe width is W should be equal to twice x, as it is again x. It means fringe width becomes W is equal to twice into x, or W is equal to twice lambda f upon small e. This is fringe width in diffraction pattern, and from this equation we can conclude that the width of central maximum is directly proportional to the wavelength. Therefore, the width of central maximum for red light, as wavelength of red light is maximum, red light will be more than violet light. Wavelength of red light is more than violet light. It means the width of central maxima for red light will be more than violet light. It implies that red light is diffracted more than violet light. This is opposite to refraction, where red is less refracted compared to the violet.